Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we're just gonna do a story time. Somebody requested that I talk about how it was dealing with the pandemic while being in New York. So this is what this is about. I don't have anything to drink or eat. We're just gonna be discussing my experience. So all right, let's start from the beginning. What was it? Like the beginning of March, reading the news, and I see that I see what's going on in China. I see that they have a virus there. It's spreading like crazy. I see people are dying at just ridiculous, rates or whatever. And I'm telling myself, I'm like, okay, it's only a matter of time before this comes here. Because there's no way this shit is just staying in China. So as I'm reading these news reports, I start getting more nervous. And what I started doing was every time I would shop. So at the time I was working and I was getting a lot of my groceries and stuff that I needed from Target through the Shipped app. So because I don't have a car, so it was more convenient for me. So every time I placed an order, which was about every 3 days or so, every 4 days, I started ordering toilet paper and Bounty and just food that's non-perishable or has long shelf has a long shelf life, so canned food and stuff like that. And this is before the toilet paper shortage happened, because like I said, when for me, when all this started, I was like, yo, what the fuck? This is crazy. And my coworkers at the time were like, oh God, you're overreacting, and oh, you're so scared of everything and whatever. Let me fix this. So let me fix my little bata here. Anyways, so at the time, whatever, I didn't care what they were saying, but no one was taking this seriously, and no one, I think a lot of people live their lives in bubbles, and I definitely am jealous of people like that, because I don't live my life in a bubble, and I get very worked up over things, and I get nervous and whatever. So I was like, nope, this is serious. It's only a matter of time before it comes here. And think about it, it's March, you know what I mean? So it's still cold and flu season, and even at my job and any other job that I have been at, people don't wash their hands, people don't practice good hygiene. And at that time I was sitting, my desk was facing the bathrooms. I'm just gonna be completely honest. People do not wash their hands. And I know they don't wash their hands. Don't fucking tell me you went into the bathroom and peed and washed your hands properly in 30 seconds. No. Anyways, so I was already grossed out by what I was seeing. And I'm like, oh my God, germs. Someone's gonna get me sick. I'm gonna have the flu. Whatever. So add crazy shit that's going on in China onto my list. I'm just bugging out. I'm like, okay, this is not good. So anyways, fast forward, the first case was confirmed here, and I'm like, okay. And then it was just downhill from there. So basically, in regards to shopping, like I said, I had already started stocking up before this came here, before the craze with people shopping and clearing out the shelves. So what happened was, once it came here, once the numbers started rising, I knew shit was getting real, because it was about, I want to say 3 days before the shutdown in New York. And I came out, so my job at the time was it was about 2 blocks from a Costco. And that street that my job was on and the Costco was on was not really a busy street. It's not a street that there's going to be traffic on. And I remember I went to check the mail. So I maybe like 2 o'clock. I mean, this is the afternoon. Like, it's not rush hour or nothing. It was like 2 o'clock. I open the door and there's cars backed up to like the front of my job. And I'm like, why are there so many cars here? And then, so whatever, it was time to go home. When I left, there were still cars backed up. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to like take the bus. Let me just walk. All these cars were going to Costco. And when I saw that, I was like, yep, shit is about to be real, because people are stocking up. And when people stock up, you already know some shit is about to go down. So, whatever. Then we started getting like talk of there's going to be a shutdown or whatever the case was. I had told my job that I wasn't coming in. I was like, listen, I'm not coming in. So they were like, okay, you can work from home. That was the day before they shut down. So I think they shut down on a Friday. That Thursday, they were like, you could come get your laptop and you can work from home. And then, so Friday, the governor, not the governor, but I think the mayor announced that there was going to be a shutdown in New York. So it was like, okay, I'm not the only one who's, like, you know, you don't want to be like that person that's like, well, I'm not coming, you know, and because you know how people look at you like, oh, she's so dramatic or whatever, like, but then when they shut it down, I was kind of like, good, you know, because I don't look like I'm overreacting or whatever, or I'm being difficult. So they shut it down. I don't really want to talk about like the work situation, because honestly, that was a shit show working from home, and I ended up losing my job, and it was a whole like fuckery, honestly. Like, it was a joke, but I'm happy that it happened, because I'm happy the way everything happened, which I'll get to like at the end. Like, I'll tell you like my personal opinion on it, but I'll just tell you like the event. So like being home, all right, you could like, everything was shut down. Nail salons, hair salons, retail stores, everything except for hospitals and supermarkets. So when you looked out your window, you did not see one soul in the street. Like, I don't live in I don't know what you would call my neighborhood, but where I live, like where my building is, it's not like super busy. But there's a lot of people that live around me. So like, chances are anytime you look out the window, you're gonna see people. And you saw nobody. It was like apocalyptic. There was no one in the street. Maybe here and there, like one person. Nothing. Okay? Human contact completely cut off. And you know, there's a lot of states, I want to say like all other states really that I know of, who have not gone through a lockdown like New York did. Like, they shut shit down. Like, it wasn't like, oh, you know, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends, or, you know, this is still up and running. No, everything was completely shut down. Human contact was just done. It was terminated. Like, I didn't see my family for months. I think the first time I actually like saw my family in person this happened in March, probably like June was when I felt comfortable going like to my grandmother's house or whatever. But like, I haven't gone to like any parties or anything. And people that I know have had parties, like even a family member had a party for her son. I didn't go because I don't feel safe going to like big gatherings still. Especially now, like, you know, the numbers are rising again. But anyways, we're talking about like the first wave, so to speak. So human contact completely cut off. Anytime I did go out was only to food shop. So I want to say I went out once every other week, sometimes once. I think it got to a point where it was like once a week I was going out to do a shopping. But okay, so let's say I leave the house, and the thing is like, okay, there's a lot of fear in it because you don't know how to move and you don't know how to handle shit. Like, okay, let's put it this way. There's people who go out with gloves like nitrile gloves or latex gloves, whatever you want to call them. That's great, and whatever works for you is fine. But what I noticed when I went out shopping was like, you have to be diligent about how you handle things. So this is before, they said like, oh, you can't really catch it off of surfaces, whatever. I still believe you can catch it off of surfaces, whatever the case is, doesn't matter. So at first I was going out with gloves, and I would go food shop. I would take my cart and I would go food shop and go to like Rite Aid and get what I needed, and for my mom too, right? Because when I shop for like me, my son, and my mom. So I have my gloves on and I'm like, okay, this is like great in protecting my hands, but like you have to be diligent about the way you move. So if you're wearing gloves, right, and you pick up this item and you're like, you're shopping, you're touching items, whatever the case is, now you're going to go grab your wallet and you're going to grab your debit card and you're going to pay for everything. So all those germs that you picked up on that glove are now on your wallet and your phone and everything else that you're touching. Forget about touching your face. Like, that's the last thing you want to do is touch your face. So ideally speaking, right, let's say you really did not want anything transferred to your personal belongings. Ideally speaking, you would carry like multiple pairs of gloves, and before you even touch your wallet, you're going to take off the gloves that you touched all the items with, put a pair of new gloves on, then grab your wallet and your debit card, and once you're done touching the keyboard, you're going to take those gloves off again and put your shit in your bag. So what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of anxiety behind trying to figure out what works and what's going to keep you safe. So in the first like few months, it was nerve-wracking because when I went out, I'm like, oh my God, like I touched this and now I touch my phone and my phone is probably contaminated, and so in my opinion, it makes more sense to not wear gloves and just constantly sanitize your hands and the things like your phone and your wallet, debit card, whatever the case is. So I don't wear gloves, but I understand people who do. But again, you have to be careful like how you're doing it, right? So that was one thing, like you go out and you're like it was like being in a whole new world and like a whole new realm. So people are not out to go to work or to hang out with their friends or to go out to eat. People are out to get what they need, and that's it. So when I left my house, literally every time I left my house, it felt like a late Sunday afternoon in like another town or something. Like you go outside, everything is closed except for the grocery store. I don't know how that looks in your head, but like when it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and the sun is out and nothing is open, it is extremely depressing. And it's scary too, because it's like every man for themselves kind of feeling, like you feel like you're literally walking the streets alone and there's nobody around you. And not saying that people around you would protect you if something were to happen, but chances are if something happens to you, like if somebody attacks you, no one's gonna be around to hear you or to help you, so it's very scary. And then you feel like, am I a target? Like, I'm walking home with this carriage filled with groceries and necessities. I am a target. Like, anybody can fucking, like, punch me in the face and take my shit, So that's another thought that, like, comes up. And when you have to think about every interaction, like, now you're putting thought into things that you never had to think about before. Like, you got to think about how close you are to the next person. You got to think about, what you're touching. Are you contaminating your belongings? Are you standing too close to somebody when you talk? Even when you start to feel comfortable being around people, like let's say your family, you start to like second guess stuff, like hugs and stuff like that, So that's really sad. And so the first few months when I was dealing with this, I want to say I was good because I was wrapped up in my son pretty much, and like being a mother to him and parenting him and feeling grateful that I could be with him. And that's, where I wanted to touch on like my personal opinion and experience of it. It's like, it's so unfortunate, and you don't wish this on anybody. But at the same time, like for me, and I know for a lot of other people, there was a silver lining because life moves so fast, and you don't. For me, it always depressed me, the thought of being at a job all day. That's just me. I know there's people who love going to work. You know what? More power to you. I fucking hate it, and like it really, really, really makes me depressed. Like, not even like my iPod keeps cutting out. I gotta back up my videos and pictures. But anyway, so yeah, like I know that there's people who love going to work, and it's not me. Like, it just depresses me. So being able to be home with my son was like a blessing for me, and he's really little. So when you're, like I said, like life moves so fast. So when you're going to work and you're gone for 10 hours out of the day, by the time you come home, you're tired, your kid is tired, you have to cook, you have to wash up, you have to clean up, you gotta whatever. It's like, what time do I have for my kid? What time do I have for myself? None. So it's like really depressing when you feel like the only time to like have alone time is like 10 minutes on the bus going to work. It's not a life that I want to live. So, and I'm very depressed when I live it. So that's why, again, like you don't want to say like, oh, thank God I get to be home, because people are dying and people are sick and the whole world is like devastated. But, you gotta deal with the hand that you're dealt, and that's what I've been doing. And recently I have like started to really be affected by it, and just feeling like very down, very depressed. And I think it's because it's a mixture of things for sure, but like constant negative news and just everything that's been going on. Like I feel like I got off social media. I had to take a break from Facebook and Instagram. I don't read the news. I was reading the news every day. And it got to the point where I'm like, I need to stop because it's making me sick. Even though I don't feel sick as I'm reading it, it's making me sick, like little by little. So, yeah, so the first few months it was easier. And I was more so focused on like, other things. But then like as time went on, things don't really go back to normal the way that you want them to. And, I miss seeing my family. And not that I haven't, because I have seen my close family, but just you want to be together the way that you used to. Thanksgiving is coming up. Yeah, I really don't want to cook for Thanksgiving, and I'm kind of just like, whatever. But like, you still want to have the option to be like, you know what, let's all get together and be together. And you can't. It's just a lot, and this has all forced me into just having a whole other thing to worry about. And I know that it is what it is. I know people hate that saying, but you kind of got to learn to live with it, which I have, and you have no choice but to do. But when you look at, the way life was before, and you look at it now, you're like, wow, like things change in an instant. There was nothing to prepare us for this. And forget about like the election and politics. And I'm not going to get into my beliefs or whatever, or, who I support or whatever. But that's something else that really played into this pandemic, and it creates a divide between you and people, whether it be friends or family or just Facebook homies, and it makes you look at people differently. And this pandemic has too, because they go hand in hand. And when you see people who, they might be your friends, they might be your family, and they're posting stuff that is ignorant or just outright fucking ridiculous, and you start to look at them like, wow, I didn't know you were that stupid. And so it does something to you, you know? People are gonna believe what they want to believe. You know, like people who say like, oh, this is all made up by the government. I'm not here for it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. I am not going to entertain that shit. That is the point that I'm at and have always been at. I'm not gonna argue with stupid. So yeah, it like this whole pandemic has taught me to just take a step back. Don't even waste your breath, because at the end of the day, that's what you're doing, is wasting your breath. And you have to protect yourself, because no one else is gonna protect you. You understand? So we're all supposed to be in this together, and it's really hard when there's people who are so reluctant to just like see what's actually going on. Like people walk around with blinders on, and I'm like, what the, like they walk around like this. Hey, how are you? Hey, how's it going? Yeah, nice to see you. I'm like, okay. So yes, it has been very hard. To answer your question, the person who asked me to do this video, living in New York City during a pandemic has been very hard. It's very scary, and I feel like anywhere in the world you would feel this way if you were on lockdown. We're not currently on lockdown. However, I do believe one is approaching. Yeah, and you just kind of gotta like, you start to realize what's important and what's not important. Because things that you used to do, you can't do anymore. Like doing your nails. You're not doing your nails. And forget about press-on nails and fucking glue. Like, I'm not doing my own shit. I'm not having bootleg nails. So that's like gone. And I can live with that. Like, that's fine, you know? But little things that, you know, we do in our life are gone in an instant. Like, it's fucking crazy. And you have to adjust and then just like figure out how to entertain yourself while you're home. So that's another, you know, issue in itself, I guess. Yeah, so that was my experience with it. I hope that everybody is safe and your families are safe and healthy. And just protect yourself. Please don't listen to the bullshit that's out there. Don't get your news from Facebook or Instagram. Get it from a reliable source. Educate yourself. Know the facts. And just be aware. Don't obsess over the news because you're going to get sick. But just be aware. Be informed. Yeah, wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And also I don't know, what's today? Saturday? Have a good weekend. I don't know when I'm going to upload this. Have a good life. I don't know. But yeah, so I will see you guys soon, and stay tuned for some additional footage of my little Christmas tree. See you guys later. Bye. This is my Christmas tree, guys. Look how cute. Oh, minus the toy box. Hold on. Okay, look. And yeah, that's the light I was using from the TV. I'm so ghetto. Look. Hey, Mr. Snowman. I gotta fix my ornaments. They're a little bit wonky because the baby's like always touching them. But yeah, that's my little tree. It's supposed to be a 4-foot, but like the top branch is like one whole foot. I had to fold it in half. So it's really like a 3-foot. Hope you guys liked my video and my tree. See you soon.